Hello, and welcome to the F1 Time Portal, a Formula One history podcast started by a couple of friends that love Formula One. I'm your host, Rosa.
And I'm your bubble wrap host, Luigi. And today we are rating drivers from 1957 for our special series, the Time Portal Championship. So let's go.
Hi, Luigi.
Hi, Rosa. And yes,
Hiya.
bubble wrap was invented in 1957. Bubble wrap.
Pretty late. I thought it would have been a bit earlier than that.
Well, plastic
Just
really
plastic.
came to a fore in the mid 1900s. So
Yeah.
this is the mid 1900s.
Okay,
And
fair enough.
yeah. But so therefore, I think it's earlier than I would have expected.
Okay, interesting. Well, we also have something else that's interesting with us today. We've got Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hi, Rosie. Hi, Luigi.
Did you like
Hey,
that
welcome
segue?
back.
It was good, eh?
I
It was...
did. I didn't know that little factoid about bubble wrap,
Yes.
but it's done well over the years, hasn't it?
It has.
Well, it's
hung in there.
being discontinued now. It's being discontinued now though because it's not environmental. Now they've got paper things, and you know what I mean.
But it was so entertaining for the kids.
Yeah.
And for adults, must admit, I do like popping bubbles on bubble wrap.
Yeah, and I have to admit, there was another. If this was going to be a two-parter, which I don't think it will be, the other option was sea monkeys. So I think I chose well with bubble wrap.
Nice choice, Luigi.
Thank you. We've got to start with the
Taking
important
our
stuff.
Formula One little scale cars out of the box. to
Yeah.
get that bubble wrap.
Exactly. Thanks for finding a link back to Formula One. Excellent. Well, shall we start the season?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. So we start with race one, the Argentinian Grand Prix. And just a quick reminder to listeners, this is not a full race review. These are like little fast reminder race reviews so that you remember what the race was about before you hear our top threes. So, Argentinian Grand Prix race one. Moss actually took pole ahead of Fangio, Berra, and the Ferrari drivers of Castellotti, Collins, Musso, and Hawthorne. At the race start, Berra took the lead from Fangio and Castellotti. Moss was taken surprise. He was taken by surprise by the starter, and he actually damaged his throttle and pitted at the end of the first lap. So not a good start for Stirling Moss. Castellotti led, but was then overtaken by Berra. Castellotti's race ended when a wheel fell off. That's not a good thing. And Maserati finished 1, 2, 3, 4 with Fangio winning. Berra came second. Mendy, or Rosa, what's his name? Menditighi third. Shell fourth. So Fangio won his fourth Argentinian Grand Prix in a row, and there were a large number of mechanical retirements in this race. So, Dan, who are your top three and why? Starting with third.
Starting with third, and okay. Carlos, I was going to say, in fact, I won't butcher his last name now.
Mendy, call him
The way
Mendy.
It looks to me. Mendy guy.
Yeah, the Mendy guy. Yep.
Yeah.
Mendy guy. So I had him in third, being, well, maybe this is a bit of a spoiler alert, his only podium. Should I say?
Yeah,
Say that?
No, we
That's
we do
okay.
those spoilers all the time, and anyone listening to this knows that we've done. They should have listened to the review before this anyway.
Well, I think
So
it was
it's their own
also-
fault. If it's a spoiler, it's their own fault.
I think it was also his only points of the season as well.
Yeah, it was. Yes.
So yeah. I mean, maybe I could have almost rated him higher. Except in second, I had Fangio. Obviously, couldn't have put him above Fangio for the win. And in first, I put Maserati because, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, how often does that happen when you think about it? Yeah, I know you guys slam me a bit for some of my alternative picks.
No,
we
don't slam
enjoyed
you.
them.
No,
We enjoyed them.
I mean, the way I look at it is, okay, so who really was the winner in this race? Like, who really were the winners? And sometimes in my opinion, the drivers aren't the biggest winners. And in this case, I mean, Maserati, first, second, third and fourth. I mean, if that happened now, then people would only be talking about, Ferrari or, whoever was to do it. I mean, it would be a massive, massive talking point. And so, huge for Ferrari. Sorry, Maserati. I said Ferrari, didn't I?
Yeah. You did. I thought you were referring to another race and how this is like that Ferrari one. That's what I thought you were going.
So over I had, Maserati first, Fangio second, and Carlos, third.
And I just looked up Mendy. I'll ask you this question, Dan, because this has some history, this question. You know how countries have initials for where they're from? Like Moss is from Great Britain, so his nationality is GB, and Berra's from France, his nationality letter is F.
Yeah.
So what country is RA?
Would that be a republic of something?
That's what I think, but it's actually... We learned through... We know, because Mendy is from RA. I didn't know this, Rosa. He's from Argentina. RA is Argentina.
Oh, there we go.
There you go. I thought it was curious. That's all.
Well, that was a big event for him then.
In his home race.
Home race.
So, good on him.
And the only year he got points, so he probably wanted that in his home race. My top three, I had third, the starter, because... And I am regretting it now because I'm rewarding someone for making a mistake. He stuffed up the start and he made it confusing and I shouldn't have given him podium. So my lesson is I've created a new category. I've created the negative points, but doesn't count for anything. But it stops me from wasting a podium position, which is what I've done. So the starter is third. Second, I've got Berra. He actually led for much of this race. And it's no spoiler because we repeatedly say it, but Berra never wins a Formula One race, and he was really having a good year in 1957. I expect we'll see him a lot of times. And I actually put Fangio first, fourth win in a row in Argentina, and just a great, solid race, solid result. Very good performance by the champion. So over to you, Rosa.
Yeah, I know. I think every time we do one of these, the line that we will have to get printed on T-shirts for this, Luigi, is I'm regretting my picks now. As soon as you hear someone else's, I'm regretting my tips now.
Oh, because I realise I'm wasting of points, and poor Starter. Starter's not going to win the championship. They're not in the running.
Well, I want to hear who you chose, Rosa. I'm keen.
Well, for my third spot, I chose Castellotti. I think he deserves points for surviving a wheel flying off in this era. I think in this era, a wheel flying off meant certain injury, if not worse. So he got my 3 points. My 4 points. In second place, I put Fangio, like you did, Dan. I think he was really strong, too good at his home race, and just did really well to take home the win. But I gave Berra my first spot. I think he did really well as, the number 2 driver in that team to challenge Fangio. And, like Luigi said, he led for most of the race. And what was it that made him – did Fangio just overtake him, Luigi?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Well, but I just think he did well. Okay, so after the first race, we have Fangio on 20 points, Berra on 14, and Maserati on 8.
Thanks, Dan.
That's okay. This is,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there's no rules. You can give it to anyone you want at any time.
There's no rules that says a constructor can't win our TP championship.
That's right, and it could happen. It'd be very impressive if it consistently happened. Okay, so up to race 2, the Monaco Grand Prix. So Fangio took pole position. However, Moss took the lead at the first corner with Fangio right behind him. But on the second lap, Collins got ahead of Fangio. So Moss went off and crashed on lap 4. Collins swerved to avoid the crash and ended up hitting a stone wall. Fangio managed to get through the calamity, I guess, without a problem. And Brooks braked hard because of the situation with Moss, only to be rammed from behind by Hawthorn. So a bit of a dramatic beginning of the race. So only Brooks could keep going, but he was 5 seconds behind Fangio. After several retirements, Australian Jack Brabham was up to third, but a fuel pump failure left him to push the car to the line. He was classified sixth, and Fangio won ahead of Brooks, Maston Gregory, Lewis Evans, and Trintignant. So a bit of a dramatic beginning of the race. So over to you, Dan, for your top three.
Well, yeah, I mean, Monaco is always an exciting race, and well, in fact, it's not always an exciting race, is it? But it's exciting to watch. So, everyone tunes in for that one. In third, I put Brooks. So I only got second in the race, and even after getting rammed from behind, so I thought he had done really well. In second, I put Brabham because, like, he pushed his car over the line. Like, he still got classified after pushing his car over the line. I mean, what a legend this guy is. So I thought he definitely deserved second place. And Fangio, I had to give him first because, like I was saying, Monaco is, it's the blue ribbon race of Formula One. I think it has always been, hasn't it? And so, yeah, winning that, I felt I had to put him on top spot.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, and I had the same top three. I know I had it in the same order as you, Dan. So I had Brooks in third, great second place even after having issues at the start, so pretty much same reasons. Brabham second. I said he was up to third with 5 laps to go until his car issues thwarted him, and I think he went, from memory, I think he pushed that car up maybe 500 meters,
Yeah,
or
I think it
something
was
like
about
that.
500 yards. Yes.
Yeah, so
yes.
it's a pretty big challenge. So yeah, like a legend. And he was in the early stages of his career. He was no champion or anything at this stage. He was a semi-no name, if you know what I mean, but a no name doing very well. And Fangio easily number one. Just a solid win. He read the accident really well, as he traditionally does. He read the situation well and didn't get caught up in the drama. Yet the cars behind him did. So it just showed how good he was as a driver.
Well, I had the same drivers. My order's a little bit different. I stuck with Brooks in third. I avoided the crash. Did well to avoid the crash and finish second. That was a solid result for him. I put Fangio in second. Great awareness and a great race again. But I actually weighted Brabham's heroics a little bit higher than you guys, and I put him first. I reckon. Look, he probably would have finished maybe second if his car hadn't given way. This is in the Cooper, isn't it, Luigi? In the Cooper.
Just having a
and
quick
like,
look.
if you remember, he was a mechanic in that team, and he didn't. He pushed his way in to drive, and yeah. So I just think he might have finished second, maybe not first. I don't know that he would have caught Fangio, but yeah, and like Dan said, what a superstar pushing his car over the line. Just even to have just the thought, I'm just going to get out and push my car over the line. I gave him my top spot.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to see where he was in the Cooper, yes.
Yeah.
And you know what the interesting thing is? I was trying to look at the championship. He doesn't get points through the whole year because Cooper's not a dominant car. So he gave away, he lost third place. And he got no points. Because sixth got no points in those days.
Oh, that's right. So, in our championship, after race 2, we have Fangio in the lead on 42, Brabham second on 20, and Berra third on 14 points.
It's funny to have Brabham up there in second when we know he gets 0 points for the whole year.
Is this an Australian podcast? I think it is.
I don't think it is, but I don't think that's influenced us because he did a good job on the day, so we gave him due credit. Well, I can already see his name in the next picture.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So we're at the French Grand Prix. This is race 3 of 7. And Berra went straight into the lead at the start, but Musso soon got ahead. Fangio followed in third with Collins and Shell giving chase. Fangio worked his way past Berra on the second lap and took Musso for the lead on lap 4. Collins worked his way past Berra, and the order remained unchanged at the front all the way to the flag, with Fangio winning from Musso and Collins. Berra slipped down behind Hawthorn, allowing the Lancia Ferraris to have a 2-3-4 finish behind Fangio in the Maserati. So, Dan, who's your top 3 and why?
Well, my top three, or in third, is probably the result that I was sort of least certain about. So I'd actually put the Lancia Ferraris as third because
Yep.
as a constructor, as a as a a car entrant that they're putting in to get second, third, and fourth is a really solid result. And perhaps I'm undervaluing what Collins did. He did a
Mm.
solid drive, so possibly he deserves third spot. But I don't know if it was just coming from the heart, but I put the Lancia Ferraris in there at third. In second, I put Musso. Well, he was the only Italian driver getting a good result at this time, and which sort of begged the question, like, what happened to the Italian drivers? Um, you know,
Yeah, you're right.
they were all there early on in Formula One, and then they just seemed to sort of drop off. And now Musso's the only one flying the flag. So
There is one other driver that gets 1 point at the very end of the season, and then there's Busso he finishes third in the championship. So yeah, he's pretty much the only one of note.
And yeah, so he got second in the race. So I thought he did really well. And then, of course, I put Fangio in first. Well, not only for winning it, but basically locking in the championship by now because he didn't really have anyone seriously challenging him. And it felt like
Mm.
with this win, he had just probably broken the will of any other competitor out there.
Yeah, because he's won the first three I
Mm.
mean, excluding Indy, he's won the first three races
Yep.
out of seven.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not much room for anyone
At a
else to
time
squeeze
when
in there, is it?
there's all sorts of reliability issues are a pretty consistent thing,
Yeah.
sort
Mm.
of era. So, yeah. So, there you go. Fangio, Musso, and Ferrari.
I mean, it just so happens to be that you're right that he sort of has he hasn't really secured
Hasn't
the
secured
championship,
it.
but mentally he
Yeah,
has.
yeah.
So yeah, and I'm looking at the tips. None of us have got any real controversy. Even Rosa, there's no reason for me to attack you like I normally like to attack your tips. So this season, we're all remember for everyone's reference, we do these picks in isolation. So if we don't argue, we can't help that because it means we all went down the same path and we didn't know that when we were doing our tips. So
No, we
yeah.
didn't.
So this might change though, because in third place I put Berra because he had the lead and he's been a solid driver all year and he had multiple car issues but still managed to finish fifth. So I thought that was a pretty remarkable performance by the Frenchman. I put Musso in second, not because he was the Italian driver getting a good result, but because he was only 16 seconds behind Fangio who won the race. He did come second, didn't he?
Yes,
Let me
he
just
did.
double check that.
Yes,
He did?
yes,
Yes. Okay, cool. And he tried to catch Fangio and spun. So he gave it a go. He didn't just settle for second. He did probably settle after the spin, but he still came second. He didn't lose his mind and collapse. So good on him for that. And Fangio, just solid win. And the quote from Fangio, because this is the first time they were at this track, and his words were, he saw the layout of the track and he said, "This track is for me," and he made sure of it. He made it his track. So good on him.
yeah, but
So
Luigi, I can't pick fault with yours either this time.
even better. I
Even
know.
better. I know. At least he finished the
Yeah.
race this time. You usually just
Yeah. Yeah. Normally the guy I picked third retired on lap 5 or something.
makes a good start and then drives off the track somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, in my third spot, I put Brabham in there. I just he's in a, like we said in the previous race, he's in a really underpowered, uncompetitive Cooper. He started 13th, he qualified 13th and he finished 7th. So I thought that was a really good result for him. So I've put him in third. I've similar to Dan and Italian drivers. I think one of the things I've learned most about doing this podcast and really diving deep into these early years is how wrong the misconception is that Formula One was dominated by Italian drivers. It just hasn't been, has it? So
No.
no, and like people who think of Formula One, I think a lot of people would think that that's synonymous with Italian drivers.
Yeah.
But it just hasn't been the case. So I did give Musso points for a good drive for second, and agreed with you, Luigi. He wasn't that far behind Fangio. There, but although 16 seconds is a big gap. And then, Fangio, he just killed it on this track. I mean, given that it was the first time they'd race here, and he just owned it right from the start to
Yeah.
finish. So, can't argue with that.
Yeah. And I'll just add one extra comment to the Brabham selection. I'm just looking at the book. He was in an F2 car.
Oh, wow.
He was sharing the drive with a Kurt Percival McDowell.
There you go.
And it was a Cooper Climax F2. So there you go.
Okay. All right, even
not
more.
Not a bad effort.
Yeah.
But he was 9 laps behind. But for his credit, like Shell in a Formula One Maserati was 7 laps behind who finished in front of him. So pretty good performance.
Okay. Oh, you actually backed me up there, Luigi. What is going on?
Yeah, I know.
What is going on?
something...
Is it a full moon tonight or something?
Yeah.
I don't think I keep going this way, though.
No, you're right, Dan. I should just enjoy it while it lasts, shouldn't I?
Yeah.
Okay, so after race 3, we have Fangio in the lead on 66, Brabham second on 24, and Berra and Musso tied for third on 18.
Wow, Brabham's right up there considering
I know.
he gets 0 points. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe there is an Australia thing going on, but okay. We're up to the 4th race of the season, the British Grand Prix. So Moss got pole ahead of Berra and Brooks. At the start of the race, Berra took off into the lead, but Moss led at the end of the lap. Moss then built up a lead, but the car began to sound rough and he pitted. Berra took the lead with Brooks behind him, but Brooks was soon called into the pits to give his car to Moss, who rejoined in 9th position. Moss then began to work his way through the field. Berra remained ahead though, with Hawthorn unable to challenge him. Moss was quickly back up to 5th. There were many mechanical failures, including Fangio and Collins. Moss caught Lewis Evans, but then Berra's clutch exploded. Poor Berra. Hawthorn ran over some of the wreckage and suffered a puncture, so I could say poor Hawthorn as well. So Lewis Evans took the lead, but was passed almost immediately by Moss, and then also retired with a broken throttle. Oh, was that Moss? I think the grammar is a little bit funny there. It was Moss that retired with a broken throttle. Yes, okay.
I know.
So
I think
Brooks won the race, claiming the first World Championship victory for a British car. Musso was second and Hawthorn third.
I thought Moss won this race.
Brooks and Moss were in the same car.
Brooks and Moss were in the same car. They shared a car, right?
That's right.
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
my apologies. So when I say Brooks won the race, it was Brooks and Moss won the race, but Moss was the one driving it over the line. So apologies for a little bit of confusion there, but it was still correct. Just I named the wrong driver, but there were
You
two
only
drivers.
named one driver.
Yeah, I only named one driver, but yeah. Okay, so Dan, your top 3 and why?
Okay, in third, I put Berra. So, because basically he did a great race and he had it. He had the race in the bag until his clutch exploded. So I didn't. I couldn't hold that against him. He really deserved a better result. So I thought he did amazingly well. So I put him in third.
Just FYI, his clutch went on lap 69 and it was a 90 lap race. So he was close to the end.
Yeah. So if that happened in current times and, let's say it was, I don't know, Verstappen and then, his clutch explodes and he's out. I mean, people would say like he had the race in the bag.
Yeah. And that's what you're basically saying here.
Yeah. So I had him third. In second, I had the race itself. Now, I probably need to clarify a little bit. Now, it was a crazy race, wasn't it? I mean, what
Yeah.
did not happen in that race? There wasn't much that didn't happen. There was lots of passing. There was lots of mechanicals. There was changing the lead, changing position, like all the way through the race. It was absolutely a crazy race. And whenever we see that in Formula One, I mean, as fans, we all love it, don't we? I mean, that's what we talk about the most after a race is not who won it, but in particular, if it's like a crazy race that's really mixed up and lots of action going on. And those are the races, those are the bangers that, that you hear the fans talk about. And this was one of those. It was one of those rare, amazing races. And I wish it was at Silverstone because, I love the track, but it was actually not at Silverstone, was it, Luigi? It was.
It was Aintree.
Aintree.
Yeah.
Mm.
I don't even know that track. So, yeah, I mean, I'm giving it to that Aintree.
Yeah.
For second, for giving us such an incredible race. Yeah, I'm sure it would have been amazing to watch that. And in fact, I put Moss. Well, not only for the win, but it was the first win for a British car, and he did it at home in a British car. So, yeah, that must have been an incredible time, for him and and British fans.
It's amazing that it took this long. 57.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I know. It's a long time since the championship started in 1950. I guess it's always been Italian and German cars.
Yeah.
Oh, and did Porsche or Honda win one? I can't remember.
No.
No, that happens after. Okay.
Yeah, that happens after. At this stage, it's really only Alfa and Ferrari and Mercedes.
And Maserati.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was a massive moment in time, wasn't it? I mean, Sterling is is an icon of the sport, and the Brits absolutely love their racing, in particular Formula One, and pretty much always have. And there you go, Sterling Moss winning the first Formula One race in a the first time for a British car.
Yeah. So the question is, I see you've picked Moss. I've picked Moss as one, and Rosa, I'm going to be a spoiler and say you picked Moss as well. And the only reason I'm flagging, all of us did this. None of us gave credit to Brooks, whose car he was in.
I did.
Just saying.
No, I did.
I'm telling us all off.
I did.
Oh, yeah, you did. Oh, my apologies. Okay, I'll leave your picks for later then. Okay.
Well, I'm saying mine now first.
Okay, you can say yours then.
Since you've given it all away.
I thought I was going to make a point that was going to land, but it totally did not land.
No. Yeah. Well,
okay, you go next, Rosa.
I've only got one pick to reveal.
I didn't say, you didn't say where the other one was. I didn't reveal it.
Yeah, everyone knows that I picked Brooks second. Okay, so I put Hawthorn third. It's interesting. I'm going to be a Luigi, and I sort of regret not giving it to Berra, and I'm just wondering why I gave it to Hawthorn rather than Berra, because they both sort of had the same experience. Like, I guess it was because Hawthorn still finished, I guess, and he came fourth.
He got on the podium. He came third, actually.
Oh, did he come? There you go. He came third, and he got a puncture right at the end, and he was still able to sort of get on the podium. So that was a pretty good effort. I don't know where he rejoined the race after he had to probably change his tyre. So anyway, good effort for him. I did give Brooks my second spot because he gave up his car for Moss to take the win. So I give credit to drivers who do that. And so I gave Brooks second spot, and I gave Moss first. Lots of bad luck. Again, he has to overcome all sorts of adversity. And in this case, he takes the win. So he also takes the win in my books.
Okay. So for me, I actually had Lewis Evans third. My reason being he inherited the lead and was leading a Vanwell 1-2 until a car issue. Just double checking when Lewis Evans actually retired, because even I'm a little bit surprised at my own pick there. He finished 7th. There must
Okay.
have been a reason. He must have been up there. He was leading a 1-2. So I must have felt
You
that
must have felt
he
he
was
just
warranted. He was
yes.
warranted, yeah. I didn't give him the win. I gave him third.
Yep.
I gave Berra second. He was leading deep into the race until a mechanical issue stopped him. And Moss first. Somehow he won this race despite being the leader at the start and coming back from ninth. So I sort of felt like he won this race twice.
Yeah.
And I apologise to Brooks for not acknowledging that he was also in that, participating in that car.
Okay. So after race 4, have Fangio on 66 points. So he didn't get any points from us this race, did he? Bera second on 28 and tied for third. We have Brabham and Moss on 24.
Yeah, Brabham's doing very well for a driver that got no points.
Yes.
He's right up there.
Yep.
Okay, so we're up to the German Grand Prix, the 5th race of the season. So Fangio's on pole, followed by Hawthorn and Berra. At race start, Hawthorn and Collins are battling for the lead with Fangio and Berra behind. On lap 3, Fangio passes Collins and takes the lead. Collins then passes Hawthorn and chases after Fangio, but Fangio was gradually edging away at that stage. Fangio then decided he would use softer tyres. He had decided before the race he would use softer tyres and only a half tank of fuel. The plan he had was it would allow him to take the corners faster, but would also require an extra pit stop. The pit stop, however, was slow lasting. Instead of being 30 seconds as it was meant to be, it actually lasted 1 minute and 18 seconds. And that reason was because there was a missing wheel nut. So this dropped Fangio pretty much 1 minute behind the two Lancia Ferraris. Fangio then chased back super hard. He broke the lap record 10 times and actually passed Collins and then passed Hawthorn on the penultimate lap to win the race. And now we can say, Dan, and claim his 5th world title. So, Rosie, you can say this next bit because I think it's quite interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I just want to add a little bit to that. I think this was actually a planned strategy for Fangio to go out on the softer tyres and the half tank of fuel. Like they wanted to get away from the other cars, knowing that they needed. I think it was the Maseratis. They always needed a pit stop. What car? Or is Fangio driving the Maserati? I
Yeah,
can't.
Fangio's in the Maserati.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he wanted to make his car lighter, and it was really that pit stop that stuffed up their strategy big time because it went for so long. So then he had to make his way back through the field. So that was just an amazing comeback. And yeah, he was later quoted as saying, and I'll read it out word for word. Nürburgring was my favourite track. I feel totally in love with it, and I believe that on that day in 1957, I finally managed to master it. It was as if I had screwed all the secrets out of it and got to know it once and for all. For 2 days, I couldn't sleep, still making those leaps in the dark on those curves where I had never before had the courage to push things so far. So, yeah, he was still dreaming about it 2 days later.
Yeah. This was considered one of his greatest ever races.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's an old dude at this stage.
Yes.
Like, he's 53, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd be impressed if we don't give Fangio the win, just letting us know.
Okay.
So, Dan, let's hear your top 3, and I dare you not to give it to Fangio.
Well, I haven't been able to construct any sort of, I've got no imagination that goes beyond Fangio getting first.
Yeah.
In third, I'd like to change who I'd put in my pick. I'd like to put Hawthorn in there at third. Everyone was basically totally overshadowed by Fangio, obviously, in this race.
Yeah.
It's like no one else even kind of mattered or counted. The Nürburgring, is it's got that title, the Green Hell, and for good reason. It's long. A lot of it is high speed. It's very unforgiving. Lots of Armco. Not a lot of runoff. You're going to be hitting walls. It's very fast. So it's all those reasons that race fans around the world just absolutely love this track. And so Fangio did obviously an incredible performance, but let's not forget Hawthorn actually came second, which is still, he must have done extremely well just to even, to have gotten second. And I feel like on reflection, I hadn't given him that credit. So I want to actually swap mine over.
I can't. Are we allowing that, Luigi? Do we?
We've never allowed someone to change it live because it messes up the spreadsheet.
Yeah.
Okay, well, fair enough. I'm at least putting in, I think he definitely deserves a mention.
An honourable mention.
An honourable mention. Because in third, I put Fangio's legacy. Because
yes.
Because what he did, and I suppose was cemented here, is it just transcended, the race and even his performance and, his championship. This one just, it's iconic, which is why you read out, that particular,
quote.
Hit that particular quote. Yeah, it was because it was just so iconic, and so I put down his legacy for third. In second, Nürburgring, as I said, just an incredible iconic track. It brings out the best and the worst in so many drivers, and in this case, it was the stage for one of the most iconic moments in motor racing, and in particular Fangio's career. And so, of course, in first I had Fangio. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Good picks. So I've got Hawthorn as third. He came second, and he was the last person for Fangio to pass and win. So that was what I gave. Second, I gave the faster signal.
Oh, yeah.
So I've seen the Ferrari team do this quite often, and every time they put the faster signal out, it's normally too late or doesn't work. Yes. So in this case, they put out the faster signal to Hawthorn on Collins to try to tell them, you need to go faster, Fangio's coming. But it basically didn't do anything to stop Fangio catching and passing them. So that Ferrari mechanic or whoever it was to put the faster signal up, it didn't work, but worth a try. And first for Fangio, greatest win of his career. Awesome strategy. Even when the strategy went wrong, he still pulled it off. And breaking the lap record as many times as he did, he needed to break those lap records to achieve what he did. And that's what makes it extra special. So that's my picks.
Yeah, well, I went a little bit off the reservation. I gave my third place points to the Nürburgring as well, Dan.
Nice.
I just think it's an amazing track, and I did actually have a look at some footage during the week on this track, and even worse than the Armco barriers are just trees all the way up to the edge of the road. So I can just imagine how scary that would have been for drivers flying around at 200 kilometers. Yeah, the Nürburgring. And then in what is probably an example of the lack of imagination, I've given Fangio my second and first place points.
Yeah.
I think Luigi, you mentioned it, but yeah, he broke that lap record 10 times, 7 of them in a row. And we've got to remember, that's an hour of qualifying pace.
Yeah, each lap's like nearly 10 minutes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's like an hour of qualifying pace. That is unbelievable. And he's in top spot just because of the strategy, the fuel, and that pit stop nearly ended it, but he was good enough to come back from it. So got 14 points from me.
Okay.
So
championship standings,
we've got Fangio on 96, Berra on 28, and Brabham and Moss on 24.
So second to last race of the season. And this was the only time a race was ever held at this location at Pescara in Italy. Enzo Ferrari refused to race at this track in protest, so there's no Hawthorn or Collins. Musso entered as a private entrant, believing he could still win the championship. I think Rosa and I checked this. We think it was a misguided belief.
Yes, it was.
So
yes.
We don't know what he was thinking. But
we thought
anyway,
he was not very good at maths.
Yeah, that's not his strength. He's a better driver than he is a mathematician.
Yes.
In qualifying, Fangio was first, then Moss, then Musso. At race start, Musso took the lead. Obviously, he has to win the race if he's going to win it. So Brooks retired with mechanical trouble on the first lap. Moss took the lead from Musso on lap 2, but the two cars remained together. Fangio ran third, but the field thinned out quickly as hot temperatures took their toll on the cars, with Lewis Evans losing nearly a lap because of 2 tyre failures and Berra suffering an engine failure. On lap 10, Musso disappeared when his engine blew, the oil causing Fangio to have a spin, which damaged one of his wheels. Moss won the race ahead of Fangio. Shell finished third. Musso, with this retirement, maybe now realises he cannot win the championship. Over to you, Dan. Where's my laughter? Where's my recognition? I deserved a laugh track. Tough crowd. That's all I can say. Tough crowd.
Get that inserted in editing.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to put on the biggest laughter ever.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Everyone at home is laughing, Luigi.
Yeah.
You just can't hear them.
Yeah, they are laughing.
Yeah, they are.
I'm feeling it
love.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Surely we were the only 2 people that missed it, Rosa.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, in third, I put Pescara, and sure, the tracks are getting a bit of a look in this championship, but I mean, this was a really long track, and okay, the Nürburgring is super long, and it's probably one of the reasons we love it. But Pescara, I think, was even longer as a track.
Yeah, 25.5 kilometres.
Yeah.
And the Nürburgring is 20. Not that it's a competition of length, but 22.8 kilometres.
Yeah. A couple of k's longer than even Nürburgring, and I mean that would be awesome as a driver, wouldn't it? To race, a really long lap like that, rather than sort of going round and round in sort of a minute or so. And part of me just wishes they might, they'd be able to bring back, really long tracks like Nürburgring and Pescara. But obviously commercially, it doesn't work, with crowds and cameras and cranes to bring the cars in and, pit stops and all the rest of it. So, yeah, we probably won't ever see those sorts of tracks again. So, I just wanted to give a hat tip to that amazing track that we don't see cars race on anymore. I put Moss in at second. He had a solid win. He's obviously really establishing himself as top driver. And for first, I put Musso because, I mean, entering the race even without Ferrari's support, and he's still gone and done it. And I'm just like, I've just got a massive amount of respect for that. That wouldn't have been easy, and it shows his determination. And he was going to do whatever he could, for the championship. And so, yeah, massive respect to Musso for doing that. And he even gave it gave the race a good shake as well.
I'm going to dispute that one. I think you're giving too much. I mean, I've got Musso in mine, but for different reason to yours. You're giving it to him for positive reason. I'm giving it to him for negative reason. And I think your positive reason is over generous.
Whoa,
really?
That's
I mean, I'm just saying you're taking a Moss. You're taking Moss won this really well. Musso didn't even finish.
Yeah, but he wasn't even supposed to be there.
Yeah.
He
I can see where Dan's coming from on this.
Yeah. Okay.
You think about it. Like you drive for Ferrari, and the head honcho, and he was massive at the time. Enzo obviously was. Was like, no, out of protest, and Musso's like, well, bugger it. I'm still going and I'm still racing. Yeah, that would have been a massive thing to do.
And you got to give it to the guy, Luigi, for actually living in some sort of weird fantasy land where he actually thought he could win the championship.
Yeah.
He totally believed it. Like he was like, and as Dan said, he was like, he gave the race a really good shake. Like he was determined to win this thing, to enter it, to win it. And he just thought he had a chance. Like at that level of like, I don't know what you'd call it. What do you
Self belief.
Yeah, the self-belief
Yeah.
this man had is
Yeah.
just worthy.
Okay.
As
Fair
a
enough.
fan, you'd love the driver to do that. If the team principal or owner was like, no, no, we're boycotting this race. If the driver just said, no, stuff it, I'm taking my
Yes.
car there and racing. I mean, we would all be standing up and applauding that driver.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. You're moving me to the midpoint. That's good.
Okay, all right. I think that's as
You
far
can't
as
give
we're
me all
going.
the.
Yeah, well, that's as
Yeah.
far as we're going to get him, Dan.
Yeah, I've conceded to the midpoint. Okay, for third, I put Enzo Ferrari for withdrawing his cars because I can't recall the reason for the protest now, but he was saying that he doesn't want his cars driving on Italian road racing circuits, and this was on an Italian road.
The Italian Automobile Club was slowly cancelling all road circuits in Italy, and so as a protest, he loved the road circuits. So as a protest, he withdrew from this race. It's a bit like double bluffed or something, but it's a weird logic, but only Enzo could pull it off.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, because I mean, he was affecting ticket sales and all sorts of things,
exactly.
I'm sure. I gave Musso second, but for the mocking reason that thinking he could win the championship when it was pretty much wrapped up. Plus, it was wrapped up, but he did take the lead at the start, so that's why he got the second place. And first, I gave Moss. Great drive, even had time for an oil top up and a drink during the race.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, isn't it?
And I wonder if when he went into that pits to, get that oil top up, they wouldn't have known in advance Moss will want a drink. So he probably said, I want a drink, and someone had to run and get him one. Yeah. That would have cost time, I'm sure. So just saying. Unless that was that quick hot to get the drink while the oil.
It was hot, yeah.
They must have known, he probably would need a drink.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, it wasn't hot. It was classified as very hot. Just clarifying.
Okay, well, I had the same drivers as you, Luigi, which is again, and one of them isn't even a driver, which is weird because, as we say, we don't look at each other's tips. So I had Musso in third. Yeah, just not good at maths or living in the real world, but man, did he provide some interest and entertainment for this race, both going in and during. Yeah, Enzo Ferrari, protest. I always have to tip my hat to the man. I don't know. What do you call him? What do you call? He's larger than life persona, and he just called the shots big time. Every year we've got an Enzo Ferrari moment.
Wouldn't it be great if he was alive today? Ferrari would be I think Ferrari would have probably won quadruple the number of races that they did.
Yeah, he was uncompromising, this guy.
Yeah.
And Moss for the first spot, just deserved win in tough conditions. Yeah, Dan, I mean, this track is long, but it goes through like mountains and hills and through little tiny villages with houses along each side. Like, it's a really demanding track. So, Moss for the win for me.
Okay.
So after this race, with one race to go, was this our last race? No, one race to go.
No, one more to go, yeah.
Okay, so we've got Fangio on 96, Moss on 46, and Musso in third on 36. So pretty set, I think. But anyway, we can only see what happens in the last race.
Yeah. I mean, but let's face it, we're not going to be rewriting this championship.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. So we're at the Italian Grand Prix, the final race of the season. And although Lewis, Evans, Brooks and Moss were the first qualifiers, or the first three, and in the race itself, they went away from the grid at the front together. Berra moved up to second during the first lap. So the first 5 cars, which included Fangio, began to pull away from the rest of the field, while indulging in a traditional Monza slipstreaming battle, which saw the lead constantly change between Moss and Berra in particular. On lap 7, Fangio then took the lead, but then he was overtaken by Moss, Brooks, and then Lewis Evans. This slipstreaming would have been just awesome to see. Due to some retirements, Moss was now in the lead with Fangio and Berra behind him, although Berra would pit soon afterwards for new tyres. This moved Shell up into third place, but then he disappeared with an oil leak, which meant that third was passed on to Collins. At 2/3 distance, Collins ran into engine trouble and pitted. This promoted Hawthorn to third, but a split fuel pipe dropped him to sixth in the closing laps, leaving third place to Von Trips. So we haven't heard much of him this year because there hasn't been as many crazy retirements as this race. Final result is that Moss wins the race with first, Fangio second, and Von Trips third. So over to you, Dan.
Well, in third, for my third, I put Von Trips. So obviously it was his first podium of the champion. Was that his first podium ever? Do you know?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm just double checking, but you keep going.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that would be a big moment, especially for him. And if we think about, say, because like Hulkenberg, he hasn't gotten a podium yet, has he?
No, in fact, he's got the record for the most races without a podium at this point in time, as at April 2024.
I mean, he cops a lot of flack for that and has done for a long time. Why haven't you got a podium? And it's like a real burden that hangs over his shoulders, though he certainly doesn't show it. But for Von Trips getting this podium, it sort of feels like a big achievement and a big moment. In second, I put Fangio. So basically, he was completing a very dominant season, really, and so he's sort of brought it home. And in first, I put Moss, finishing the year. Well, he obviously got the win, and finishing the year strong. So those were my picks.
Okay, I had Berra in third. He jumped from fifth to second in the race and had a great start and a good race. He was up there the whole time until he retired. So that was a big disappointment. I'm just seeing what lap he retired on because I feel sad for the guy. He retired on lap 50 and the race was an 87 lap race and he was right up there in the front. So it's not like he was, midfielder, So this could have been his race like many others this year. I gave Lewis Evans second. And that's because he got pole in the Van Wall in Italy. So he got pole on the, enemy's home ground. And he led a Van Wall front row. So a really good performance there. He didn't last very long in the race, though. Like, he was out similar time to Berra, but he wasn't in the leading battle like Berra was. But I just felt like I wanted to give him credit for that pole position and being the best of the Van Walls. And Moss winning the race, strong drive, first British car win in Italy.
Well, I had Fangio third. I put him third. Moss lapped Fangio, and then Fangio unlapped himself. So I thought that was a good showing for Fangio. I had Berra second. Yeah, great start. I sound like Luigi. Great start.
Yeah.
But solid race as always. Like he's always up there in these years, isn't he? He's just a solid race driver. And yeah, Moss, great drive for a British car at Monza.
Yeah.
My first spot. So let's see what happens. We all gave Moss, like Moss takes 24 points this race and Fangio only 10. We don't think that's enough. So, no. So our TP champion, we are giving Fangio the title of our People's Champion this year for 1957 on 106 points. Moss comes in second with 70 points and Berra third on 38, just pipping out Musso by 2 points, who's on 36. Wow. So just for reference, in the real championship, well, the one that happened, 70 years ago, Fangio won it. Sterling Moss came second, which is the same as ours. Musso third, Hawthorn fourth. Wow, we had Hawthorn down in 11th.
I know. We really did not rate Hawthorn.
No.
Hawthorn's been a star this 50s.
Yeah.
But we did not notice him this year, did we?
No, we didn't.
Yeah, he only just finished ahead of the race itself, Silverstone.
Exactly. Enzo
and the faster signal guy.
Enzo Ferrari got more points than Hawthorn.
Oh, yeah, he did too. Enzo Ferrari came 8th and he didn't even drive a car.
But we did elevate Brabham because Brabham's 5th in our championship, and I actually can't see him. Luigi.
He doesn't get any points.
Oh, there you go.
So we magically gave him 5th in the championship.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. So
jeez.
no record books are being rewritten. Well, not for the top 2 anyway. For this year.
There are some
Yeah.
special acknowledgements though that we've given.
Yes.
Given for this championship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No surprises though. We've had a few, Dan, up to this point where we've given the championship to someone else, but this one was pretty one-sided. But Moss got within,
30 points ish.
Yeah, he was not going to win it.
No.
He could have he had to have won the last few races and really got our attention a lot more during the season, which he didn't. So that's life.
Yes. Okay. Well, that was fun.
Yeah. And not as much arguing that one, not as much challenge. We just lined up, like I've said, we said, we do these in isolation. We don't fabricate the arguments that we have when we have them. They're real. So when you have an episode where there's no real deep arguments, then it's like you just have to appreciate. Sometimes there's normal races, and sometimes there's exciting races.
But I do find with sometimes some of our a couple of our guests just come very well prepared with very solid arguments, Luigi. And you can't. There's no like Dan does, and same with Andrew.
Yeah.
They come with the facts and a solid argument, and there's just no chink to wedge.
Yeah. And when I did try to fight Dan on that Musso pick,
you got put back in your box.
He went on a rampage monologue to force me to go to the middle, and only then would he stop.
That's right, exactly.
Reinforcements, Luigi, you know that.
Yeah.
You were never winning that argument. Yes. So, it was... No, yeah, it was fun. We definitely have to have you back in for the 60s sometime.
Yep, be happy to.
Okay, well, thanks everyone for joining us for this episode, and we'll look forward to having you join us for the next one.
Yep, bye everyone.
Thanks, bye.
We have a Patreon!
Yay, we're a professional podcast now. So it means a lot to us if you are able to support the F1 Time Portal podcast.
For a small monthly fee, you not only get ad-free podcast content, you will also receive special episodes that are exclusively uploaded for our Patreon financial supporters.
We promise at least 2 additional exclusive episodes each month aligned to the decade we are up to in the show.
And you will also be able to make suggestions about any special episodes you may want us to research and present. We can't promise that we can do all of them, but we will consider them.
So, if that sounds like an entertainment bargain to you, go and sign up at patreon.com/F1 Time Portal today.
If you're enjoying our podcast, please tell your friends and non-F1 friends alike.
Yeah, and don't forget to rate us 5 stars or whatever highest is available on the podcast platform that you use.
We have a range of social media handles for you to connect with fellow listeners, so look up F1 Time Portal on all the usual platforms.
Or visit us at www.f1timeportal.com or email us at f1timeportal@gmail.com.
We would like to give credit to our primary reference materials, a series of books called Grand Prix by Mike Lang.
We also use many other written and digital references, which are in our show notes.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you.